Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset.
Welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast with Coach David Syvertsen and me, Rhee. And today we are talking about a recent announcement at the end of June that CrossFit Home Office made, which was that they are starting a new program designed, quote, to benefit affiliates in good standing. It's called the CrossFit Affiliate Programming, or CAP, where they will provide daily programming, class planning, and coaching development tools distributed daily. They rolled out the service July 6th in English, expanding to other languages by the end of fourth quarter. And this is their first time that they have officially offered direct coaching support and programming for the 12,000 gyms worldwide that are CrossFit. In the past 21 years, and I'm pulling all of this info from Morning Chalk Up as a brief summary. In the past 21 years, there were other companies like ComTrain, Mayhem, NC Fit that offered daily programming solutions. This is the first time it's been official by Home Office. They're going to make it free of charge for all affiliates until December 31st. And then they're going to start charging January 1st, 2022. The guess is maybe $150 a month, but nobody knows for sure.
Yeah.
And they offer, this is some of the features they list, and then I want to hear what you have to say about it. Exclusive daily plans and coaching videos, related daily at-home and travel workouts available only to affiliate members, preload into leading platforms such as SugarWOD, dedicated support from CrossFit team members, and the three people who have organized this or are leading it are Austin Malleolo, James Hobart, and Spencer Hendel. And if you know these guys, if you know, you know. And then dedicated, monthly focus areas and options to help members target their weaknesses, and updates and enhancements based on affiliate feedback to support CAP's continuous improvement.
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings on it, and I'll start with the positive. The positive is, and I don't have a personal relationship with Austin, James, or Spencer. I had my level 2 from James, and I have a good friend of mine that is very tight with them, but I still don't speak to them on any sort of regular basis. I think those three are as good of a fit for this kind of role as any. I pay attention to a lot of different programming in the CrossFit space, and a lot of different guys have great credibility. They have great results. I love, but like this, I think they're as classic. They have the perfect mix of classic CrossFit from a fitness perspective, blending it into the sport / competitive. All three are multiple times games athletes. All three were affiliate owners and actual coaches, not the guys that say they coach and they're there, 5 or 6 times a week. Like they're there 10, 15, 20 times a week in front of a crowd. And they've been along for a long time.
They were seminar staff forever.
Yeah. And seminar staff is another reason to pump them up a little bit. But so that's like my positive. If there's 3 guys that I would want to kind of be in that role with CrossFit, I would probably pick them. So it's ironic that, and they had their own program called the HAM Plan.
Yep.
That they started years back for individuals, for competitors, for affiliates. So they're well versed on multiple fronts and very deserving of that position with CrossFit. So with that said, like I'm very happy that they're getting that opportunity. Now, my fear with this process is, is this going to at some point be mandated for CrossFits to follow their program?
They swear they're not.
Yeah, and I hope that would send me down a pretty dark side. I would love to try it. I don't know if we will. I kind of want to feel it out, kind of look at a few months, not just a week worth of programming. I'm sure the actual workouts would be totally fine. But what most people don't understand about programming for an affiliate is logistics play a huge part in what you do day to day.
Sure.
How many ropes do you have? How many rowers do you have? How many pull-up bars? How many racks? How long is your class really supposed to be? How, all that kind of stuff. I look at some workouts from affiliate programs, Mayhem, OPEX, not OPEX so much, HAM Plan, where I'm like, hey, that's a sick workout. We couldn't do it, and it's a really tough thing because of logistics, not because of ability or anything like that.
Could you scale them and adapt them?
We could. And for every movement, for a rope climb, there should always be a scale. For the assault bike or Rogue Echo bike, which they're now pushing, CrossFit, you could have a scale, machine of your choice, change it to a run. And we do that day to day. So I don't think it would take a lot of extra planning, right? Because part of how I program for the gym is logistics based. So if I had to wait to see what the workout is and then moving things around based on that without really knowing what their thought process is, it would add a little bit more to my plate, I think, actually.
I want to go a little deeper into that later about programming specific for specific boxes.
Right.
But I will say I have been following Hand Plan for a while, and my thought, and I want to talk about a specific, like an example workout that they might have. My thought was they program friggin' heavy, and it's a lot. It's big volume, daily big volume. And so I know we've had discussions at the gym about what RX should be. Why is it so heavy, Dave? What are these numbers that you keep making us do?
Yep.
And then I looked at Hand Plan for a while and I said, boy, if you followed these workouts, you would never RX them.
Yeah.
You would RX, if you were an RX athlete at Bison, you might RX maybe 25% of these, and you would need an immense amount of recovery every day in order to handle that kind of volume.
Yes. So a lot of people that come to CrossFit Bison, that's pretty much the only CrossFit they know. Maybe they've dropped in at a few different gyms. Maybe they follow a few people or accounts on Instagram. Maybe they came from one other gym that's in this area, right? They don't know the big picture CrossFit they don't know the big picture CrossFit that well. And that's nothing against them. They don't need to. They're paying members here. Like, hey, Dave, this is your job. You show us what CrossFit is, right? So, but this happens every year in the open. So every now and then you come across an open workout where someone's like, what? That's way too much. That's way too heavy. That's way too much volume. That's way too hard. And I look at them like, no, it's not. And it has nothing to do with me as an athlete. That's just like when you program, okay, this is what James Hobart, one of the guys that's now working for CrossFit in this realm, he said this at the level 2 certification. It'll always stick with me. And this is what we do at Bison. You program for the best athletes in your gym. And if you get offended by that, too bad. And then it's your job to scale down from there.
I think one of the checks on any box's programming is how are their athletes doing in the open.
Right.
And I think we measure up as well or better. I looked at the number of ACOG athletes that Mayhem was proud of, the number of quarterfinal athletes that came out, and we stack up well.
You're right
really
there.
well.
Yep.
And, I don't think any of our athletes would look at our programming and say, boy, we are so deficient and underprepared for the open.
Yep.
So when I look at these workouts that Hand Plan have been programming, I was thinking, if I had to, maybe this is okay if I scaled all of this stuff.
Right.
But it seems like a competitor's training plan to me.
And it might have a spin on that, even whether it's conscious or subconscious. Like those guys they're not competitors, they're games athletes. So the way they view CrossFit, even if they're trying to avoid the bias, it's still going to be a little biased towards competitive style fitness.
Here's an example. It's called the dark side. I thought it was kind of appropriate. This is a daily workout, a regular daily workout. For time, 12, 9, 6, 3, front squats, 205, 145 RX, and bar muscle ups. Now, the one thing I do like is that when they present it, they have a little like pie chart where they say,
I like those too. Those are cool. Yeah.
Time, so how much time it involves, like a lot or a little. Loading, is it heavy load, light load, volume, light volume, heavy volume, and skill.
Yeah.
And so this one is a short time WOD, heavy loading, moderate volume, heavy skill. And then they give some comments about it. Have a plan to split up each movement to avoid failed reps, excessive fatigue, prolonged rest. If you need to scale BMUs, consider setting a 1-minute cap for each set. If you can't do 12 or 9 reps of the bar muscle ups or front squats in a row, consider splitting it into, say, 3, like this set of 12 into 6, 4, 3. Mm-hmm. So they do give some, but when I look at it, I just look at, like I said, it just really smacks of competitors training to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that fitness training?
Is it?
At the end of the day, probably not. It's very high-end fitness. So like I'm thinking about a couple people in our gym that would get something out of that, right? Dave Bowe could do that workout. He can rip through those front squats. He's good enough at bar muscle ups. Like that'd be a good workout for him, right? But I really think there's probably less than 6 or 7 people in the gym that could really do that workout. Now, I'll even say it's not a bad workout. And if I program it at Bison, there are people here that can do it, and the rest have to scale down. Again, keep the ego out of it. But is that a fitness workout? That really screams sport fitness, kind of sport, like performance, competitor style training to me. Will that kind of workout pop up on CrossFit's the CAP programming? It might. I'll be honest with you, I think that's what the actual workouts are, how hard they are, how easy they are. It's less important from their perspective than what else comes with this program. It's like class planning, how to tell people what to scale, I love the explanations, and we tell our coaches to do this all the time.
Yep.
Hey guys, here's the workout. Oh, it's too hard? Okay. Or you don't know if you should do it. Can you do 12 muscle ups in 2 minutes?
Right.
If you can, let's scale it. Can you pick up that barbell and front squat it at least half the reps unbroken?
Right.
Can't. Okay. You got it. Those are things that in their lesson plans, I bet a lot of gyms would benefit from, because I bet their coaches don't talk about it.
So let's look at it from an affiliate perspective.
Okay.
If you are a young or just starting out affiliate,
Right,
or a very small affiliate,
yep,
this is of great benefit, is it not?
huge, and it's not expensive either.
Because, when you first started programming for Bison, what was the learning curve like? How much time did it take you? What were you thinking about?
I remember I went through so many different cycles of, I'm going to do it this way, going to do it that way. I like the flow that I'm in now. Maybe I'll change it in 2 years. I don't know. But in the early days, it was easier because our classes were so small. And, we had 30 members 3 months in. You never had a class more than 6. So it was much easier.
Logistically.
Logistically. Now, what were the workouts? I could still remember one of these workouts. Justin Ratner still remembers it, and he gives me a hard time. I think it was like a 10-round workout that had burpees, box jumps, and 135, 95 for the ladies, front rack lunges. And he's like, I was sore from that workout for 7 days. And he was an experienced CrossFitter at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking back then, that one thing about CrossFit that is a negative, and is someone like me, I was doing CrossFit for 2-3 years, could be programming workouts for everyone off the street. How credible was I back then? I don't know, and I don't have the answer, and I wouldn't argue against anyone that said you probably should not have been programming workouts back then. I would argue for my case, but I'm not going to argue against yours, if that makes sense. But I think that as someone new to CrossFit or new to owning an affiliate, there's so many things that you have to do when you're running an affiliate, especially when you're starting one, you're a little nervous, starting from scratch. There's so many different moving parts. In my opinion, the programming is probably the most important part beyond the building of your community. That to take that off your lap and don't have to do any of that work, and that the credibility behind this is there, that would be a huge benefit for an early affiliate. But there are asterisks under that. One of them is logistics.
Yeah.
You need to be good at adjusting and you need to be good at following their lesson plans. How detailed are they, and how do you scale down? That's a skill for a coach that, if you want to consider yourself a good coach, you should be really good at scaling whatever needs to be scaled.
Absolutely. Do you feel like as an affiliate, okay, so if you're a new box or a small box, helpful.
Yeah, if you haven't built that credibility yet.
If you're a bigger box,
yeah,
say Bison, one of the biggest in the world,
right?
How is it helpful for us?
I don't think so. And again, I'm going to say, knowing that I haven't really looked that deep into the programming, but I don't think this is going to be much better than what's already out there from Mayhem or other guys that already do it. So I don't think it's a big benefit, and I also think it could impede a CrossFit gym from getting better, because it's a major challenge to program. And I think when you're challenging yourself and actually weighing yourself, is this program working? Do I need to dial it back? Do I need to dial it up? Am I not doing enough of this? It takes all that critical thinking out of the process for you. And I think a big part of why CrossFit is successful is it challenges gym owners really a lot, because you basically have to do everything on your own. I'm a part of a Facebook group that's full of CrossFit box owners, and some of I never interact on. Rarely interact on there with anybody, because it turns into anything else social media turns into, just a bunch of petty fighting. But a lot of gym owners were upset that CrossFit was not helping them out enough. Whether it was marketing, whether it was something like this, whether it was, other equipment, giving them discounts, everyone's looking for free money stuff. But I think that I always wanted to say on there, I'm like, you're a business owner. There's a huge, when it comes to programming and help, like you got to take that on. That's your job. Do I want a little bit of help from CrossFit with like advertising and marketing and trying to change some of the stigmas, or I want to promote more? Like one of the things I think they promote well is how women in CrossFit have changed the landscape of fitness more than I think any group have ever changed. Like we should talk about that sometime.
Absolutely.
Like I really think the women in CrossFit, whether you're a games athlete or you're, you know, a mom from here, or you're just, you know, any women here working out in CrossFit and you're lifting weights, like that really has changed the landscape of fitness.
Absolutely.
Enormously. So do I want more help with marketing that and showing women like don't be scared of this stuff? Absolutely. But I should be doing that for Bison itself. Like I should be highlighting this stuff on social media. And we've done that a few times, and you know, a couple of our podcasts are going to be lined up in that realm. But I don't think it really should help a big affiliate that's been around a long time.
Doesn't it make the market more competitive? Because now these affiliates that have weaknesses in coaching,
yes,
I mean, listen, and programming, but I mean, obviously, if you're
we're trying to be nice here.
Well, if you're not a good, like a great owner, you could have the best instruction, and they could hand you the most valuable information in the world. And if you're not executing on it, and you don't, you know, you're not doing a good job within your own box,
right?
You know, you could try to teach someone anything.
Yes.
And if they're not good, they're not going to pick up on it.
Right.
So
yes,
I'm not going to just assume that just because cap is handed to someone, suddenly that box is going to execute on cap so well.
Yeah.
But
execution is still
but
needed.
the playing field is now leveling for these aspects, at least to a certain degree.
Yes. And from CrossFit's perspective, CrossFit HQ, CrossFit Home Office, that's what they call it now, right?
Yep.
They want that. Do I want that?
Do you want it?
Dave Syvertsen, owner of CrossFit Bison, Midland Park, New Jersey.
You've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, we've been doing well.
So this does not necessarily help you, and it helps your competitors.
Yes. So from that perspective, it sucks. And, you know, I'm trying, but I'm also thinking from CrossFit, like big picture, I want CrossFit to do well. I don't want only CrossFit Bison to do well. And I mean that. Like CrossFit's a huge part of my life, and I want to see it do well. And in this immediate area, like we have gyms within 10 square miles of here, and yeah, do I want to see them do well? I genuinely do. Do I want to see them do well at my expense? No. All right. Like that would be stupid to say, but you know, we live in such a densely populated area that there's enough room in this area for multiple quality CrossFit gyms. So and I'm not even thinking of a particular gym right now at all. I promise. But say there was a crappy one in the area and they get this programming and it elevates their quality of product, and they, you know, get closer to where we are, and you see their enrollment going up, or maybe you start seeing people from here leave because like, hey, the program is great there. It's from James Hobart, Austin, and Spencer Hindle. Mm-hmm. That would be a tough pill to swallow, because a lot goes into where we are right now. A lot has went into, like a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears have gone into what we are right now. And, you know, if you start to reap benefits from it, but you start to not reap benefits because other gyms are doing well, you know, is it fair? I mean, I don't really want to even get into that, because life isn't fair. And I think the sooner you accept that, you know, the better off you'll be.
I agree. I would say this. I have mixed feelings and I try to compare it to, like, I compared to my situation. So
right.
I'm a doctor. I'm a plastic surgeon.
Okay.
There are a million plastic surgeons in this area.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
I didn't know that.
I don't have to compete with them.
Right.
And I don't feel like I'm competing with them.
Right.
I do my thing.
Right. And you do well.
And I do fine.
Yeah.
But if Society of Plastic Surgery says you guys all now have to start doing it this way,
right,
or at least we're officially endorsing a certain way,
right,
and now you can either be part of that or not, now they're sort of making it harder for me to be me,
right,
just like it's a little bit harder for CrossFit Bison to be CrossFit Bison and differentiate yourself. Mm-hmm. That might bother me a little bit, because now those changes are being forced upon me, and I cannot. They're almost forcing me to compete in a certain way, right, with these other guys.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, I've always, with Bison, like I've never, like, crossed my heart, have never gotten involved with another gym on a bad level like that. Like, oh man, I hope I get their members. I'm going to go hire their coach and get their members. Like, I know that happens a lot, in this area. Like I've been told it's happened with other gyms in relation to us, and my response is like I just kind of like smirk and just move on. Like the more attention you're putting on other gyms and other people, the less time you're putting into your business. So I've never really thought about that, but now that you're bringing this situation up, I'm trying to relate it to myself, and yeah, it would bother me.
Let's talk about it from an athlete's perspective. Okay. So if you're looking at the features that CAP is offering, travel WODs, home WODs, able to log your data into a Beyond the Whiteboard or a Sugar WOD. Yeah. Compare yourself against your buddy in San Francisco who is going to a different box and say, dude, I kicked your ass on the dark side today. Mm-hmm. Like,
that is cool. I'll say that. That's kind of cool. And I like the idea of part of what makes the Open so special is you can really do a workout and you assume that most gyms, make people follow standards. So you can see your score against your buddy across the country and you kind of go after it with each other. So, and if you got to do that on a day-to-day basis, it is kind of cool because, not every gym is loaded with talent the way Bison is. So like if you come in and you go put up a score and you want to see how you stack up, you're going to find out how you stack up because there's a lot of good athletes here. So if you go up there and you have a top 5 score of the day, like that's a pretty good job here, right? But if you're at a gym that doesn't have a lot of competition, they don't have a lot of people that really care that much about their scores, and you're constantly at the top, then it's like, all right, am I actually doing well, or I don't even know. Like when I work with my coach, I'm doing an online competition next week, and I'm really looking forward to because I haven't had this really opportunity to kind of see where I stack up competitively in a while in that kind of environment. So I'm really looking forward to that. The guys I'm competing against are from all over the world. They're not from just this gym or just this area. So I do think that's a good thing for an athlete. And there's actually a lot of things that people from Bison, I would like to see them kind of get a reality check a little bit, saying like, all right, you're pretty good here at that movement, but you're 944th in New Jersey. Like kind of something like that. I do think an athlete would benefit from that kind of, humble pie every now and then.
I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. I think as an athlete, it's good. There's a tremendous draw to be able to compare yourself to lots of people.
Yeah, if that's what fuels you.
But I don't think that that's what really drove me. I've been to other boxes where they list in order how you do on a big computer display, and I hate that.
Stupid.
And guess what's going to happen on CAP?
Yeah.
You're going to see that every day.
You see that all the time. So I used to be a part of Beyond the Whiteboard, and at CrossFit Hoboken, we used to log our scores and Beyond the Whiteboard. Not everyone did it, and you would see some times up there, I'm like, definitely not. Like it will, that is what CAP will do. It will start creating unnecessary competition. And like, dude, you can't put up your 4:58 Karen time. Like you weren't even squatting.
Right.
It will create a lot of that.
Yes. Yeah. I did see that Beyond the Whiteboard. So many people.
You'll see scores on there.
Times.
You'll see scores on there that it's like, you can't even lie about it. It's so like obscene that you're not. Right. Yeah. No, I know.
So I don't know. But on the other hand, I can also see a lot of athletes demanding CAP programming just for these reasons that we're seeing.
Especially for the people that, don't train at a competitive gym like this, or they train by themselves. Like that would be a huge thing for them to just every now and then. It helps to have a number sometimes.
And if you're moving from some other place, that had CAP programming, and you moved to New Jersey, it'd be like, I want to continue doing CAP.
Yep.
That might be an issue.
Yeah.
I think the things that CAP misses, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, I think is if you're a beginner, I think the way we bring along beginners is better than pretty much any gym I've ever seen. We watch our beginners, listen, you have to put time in, and we're it's not like we're going to hand or spoon feed everyone,
right?
But we take time to really talk amongst ourselves, to know the capabilities of our beginners and to bring them along well.
And we do kind of program around them more than they think. Like when I say we program around your best athletes for that workout of that day, when you program, there's still thought process that goes into, all right, so how are we going to scale this one? How does a beginner do this workout? And if sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes it doesn't work. Like I'll program like a workout that would be great for the gym or great for your top athletes, but I'm like, you know what? This would just be too difficult to come up with legitimate, credible, safe scaling options for everyone. I'm going to scratch this one. So we do put a little bit more thought. And like, I do think we do a good job of bringing along newer people. And part of that is not even the coaching programming. It's the amount of people that we have here that were in those shoes. So like that whole community build of interacting with people, whether it's a partner workout, whether it's just like your daily routine, it helps people to see that, wow, that girl or that guy who used to be in my shoes, like couldn't do a wall ball, you know, like, and they're doing that now, you know, like I think that's a huge part of bringing along beginners in relation to the program.
I think that's where CrossFit Bison has evolved too, because it used to be a small gym of OGs.
Yeah.
And now we have so many new people, but we've done I feel like a good job of integrating
For
people.
sure. Bison Bull's part of that.
Yeah, and I would say, like, I was just thinking of watching an athlete the other day, Jen Allen.
Yep.
And I remember onboarding her, and I was watching her lift in a workout with Amanda Brogan.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, these guys are moving well.
Yeah, she's a good athlete.
And I was like, you know,
it takes time though. It took her a long time. She was very uncomfortable for a long time.
A long time, but she came from a ranked beginner, and now I see her move with the barbell. I was like, that's an athlete.
And she's a gymnast background too, so it's not like she had this like developed background in weightlifting, training.
No, she never picked
the
up
first time she touched barbells.
I remember when she picked it up, and I felt very inadequate doing her onboarding because I just didn't know where to start, and now I watch her what she's done, and it's really impressive, and I want to give Bison some credit for over the past couple of months, but it's all on Jen too for working with us on that and being motivated. But I think we do a good job with that. I think we do a good job with community. I mean, it doesn't matter how good the programming and all this is if you don't have a bunch of like-minded people working out with you.
Culture first.
It doesn't really work.
Yep. Yeah, and I do think part of our culture here is what has stemmed from program. You know, I actually would be insulted if someone said to me like, "Oh, program is just the workouts." Like I would feel very insulted by that. And you know, part of our culture here stems from what we do workout wise. You will lose some of that culture if you're getting someone else's program. Some gyms are okay with that, you know, but a gym that's been around for 7.5 years now, part of our culture will have a bite taken out of it. Not the whole thing, obviously. We're too strong now, but there will be some culture bitten out of it if we, you know, like I like it. Sometimes I program a workout and someone's like, dude, you're a douche. Dude, I hate you. Dude, Dave, F you for programming this, right? And it's like, you're going to lose that. If I'm like, oh, sorry, man, it's some guy that doesn't know you that programmed that workout, you know?
I really want to see how, not Hamplan, Cap does, because when I see how you program over the years, you do take into account health and our community. So if you were to program for a box in a retirement beach or a retirement box like community down in St. Petersburg, and then you're programming for one in Manhattan, they can't have the same programming. No, and I don't care if you scale the hell out of it, everything is so different. So I'm really sort of interested to see how Cap handles it. Yeah. And listen, if anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be Spencer, James, and Austin, because those guys are effing geniuses and they have the most experience. But dude, I didn't
even think about that. That's a good point.
I bet you this is what they're thinking. They're thinking I'm going to talk a little bit about home office because there's some things that really bug me about this whole thing. But the first thing is Eric Rosa had a webinar or interview or whatever you want to call it, the intro video, and he said that right now 20% of affiliates use like NC Fit or some other outside programming, and 80% program them themselves. And in a couple of years, he expects a third to use CAP, a third to use these other programmers, and then a third will still program by themselves. Right. I think that's a load of crap. I think it's probably like he wants to take over more than 50 or 60% of the market and leave the rest to either self-program or outside programming. But I just feel like they realize they can't program for every box out there. Yeah. So they're probably like, okay, what is an average box? Right. How much square footage? How much equipment can we expect?
What do they have?
What is their average demographic?
Right.
And they're going to program for them.
Yeah.
And if they capture 50% of the market, that's a win for them.
Yeah.
So if you're unique, if you're different, they're not even going to bother with you. They're going to say, listen, we're just going to program for the vanilla box. And if you want to adapt it or you think you can adapt it, that's fine. But I don't even think they're thinking about what's our demographics for our box, what's our what's the injury prevention?
Right.
Are we going to program heavy 3 days in a row?
What are the goals? Yeah, what are the goals for the box?
Right.
Like I take into account how many times we're on the rig in a week, how many days are in between certain volume workouts with pull-ups, toes bar, muscle-ups, right? And even then, there's days like, oh, man, like we had one a few weeks ago. I'm like, a lot of people ripped today. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, you don't want to lose that kind of control. Like sometimes I'll look at other programs and I'm like, dude, it's the same movement pattern 3 days in a row.
Yes.
Or you're on the
boxes that
you're on the rig 2-3 days, like you're on the rig twice in a row. A lot of gyms do that. And I'm like, are you trying to get people to not come in the next day? Is that part of what the thought process is?
Right.
I would hate to lose that control.
So I feel like if anyone can execute and figure this out, it will be them.
Yes.
But there's a lot of stuff in here, which is going to be...
They're going to have to prove a lot.
Yes.
Because like the status they have right now, and they've earned it, is very high. But there are going to be challenges, and I'm sure they're ready for them. Most of them, whatever they can see. But there's going to be a pretty big learning curve for them.
That's why but that's the thing. They're going to get feedback from thousands of gyms every day.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a losing battle on a couple.
There will be a lot of complaining.
Okay. So my argument is going to be, and this is where we can agree to disagree.
Oh yeah,
I'm expressing opinions. We've done this before.
There, Sam. Don't worry.
Is that we're going to eventually have to start following CAP programming. That's my prediction.
Okay.
For all of the things that are against CAP programming, these guys are too big, too good, and they're going to get too much feedback.
Yep.
In order not to get better.
Yeah, and they're like you said, they're like Eric Rose is a data guy. They're going to get so much data.
So that is the real reason why I think these guys are doing it.
Okay.
Is for the data.
Okay.
So if you think about CrossFit Home Office, so these guys are venture capitalists.
Yep.
Maybe nice venture capitalists that understand CrossFit, but they're venture capitalists. And so when you look at, and he's a tech guy.
Yeah.
So how did these tech guys make their money? Does Facebook charge us?
No.
Does Google charge us? No. They collect data from us.
Yep.
Like a shitload of data.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen The Social Dilemma, you know what they do with this data.
Right, yeah.
So how much data is CrossFit Home Office getting from us? And Arm & Hammer actually talked about this, and it really sparked a chord in me. How much data are they getting from us as affiliates? About our athletes, about who we are, our demographics, what we spend, what we buy.
Yep.
Like zero.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So this is a direct pipeline into how old are we?
Yep.
How much are we spending on stuff? What's our performance? How much time are we spending in the gym? What are our preferences? What are our likes?
Yeah.
How much is that data worth?
Sam Rhee, the conspiracy theorist.
I am, dude.
I think there's a huge. I think you're making a very, very credible argument about that.
And so
that most of us aren't thinking.
I know people smarter than me have, but there's a point that Greg Glassman is not a good guy, but he was smart in the sense that he was so fiercely independent,
right?
And he did not want exactly what is going to occur to CrossFit.
Yep.
The independence that each box has, the freedom to do what they want to do, this is one step closer to losing
Making this more because CrossFit is not a franchise.
It's not a franchise.
But this is a step in that direction.
This is starbucking. I mean, I don't want to be an alarm. I am an alarmist, but this is starbucking CrossFit in the sense that it's just like Facebook. So look at our markets. If you look at us, aren't we so valuable? We care about nutrition. We care about how we sleep. We care about how we, eat. What activity? This is a lifestyle. This isn't just a gym like Planet Fitness.
Right.
This is like
even more than that, just like how we treat each other.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
this is I mean, like they make fun and there are memes about how we're all in on it, but there's a lot of truth to it, right?
Yep.
It's a community.
Yep.
So if you have this market, how valuable is that market once you get it?
Right.
Not only that, but it's when you actually look at if you were CrossFit and you're like, okay, what are the other players in the fitness industry? Who are you competing against? Peloton, F45, Orange Theory. So you might think you have the best philosophy and methodology as CrossFit, but how many tech players came in and got swallowed up by people who executed better?
Right.
So MySpace was the first Facebook out there, and they were good.
Yep.
And then what happened? They got out executed, and Facebook ate
because
them
of
all
technology.
up.
Yeah.
So if CrossFit is looking at all these other players, what do you think Home Office is doing right now? They're thinking, it doesn't matter if we have the best methodology. we have to grow and be bigger
Right.
than these other competitors. And how do we do that? We got to bring our affiliates together. We have to have more information from them. We have to be able to draw more from them. We have to get more, I don't want to say control, but essentially control from them.
Yeah.
And I think the affiliates are actually going to want this. And the reason why is if you look at an F45 franchise or an Orange Theory franchise, how much money do you think each owner is making? A ton. Way more than the average box.
Right.
So I don't think affiliates are going to say no to this.
Okay.
I don't think athletes are going to say no to this.
Yeah.
Hobart, those guys are going to make this as good as they possibly can.
For sure.
And am I going to bet that, I mean, I don't want to sound sarcastic or glib, but listen, Dave Syvertsen in New Jersey programming versus Hobart Spencer in Austin.
Yeah.
With them getting constant feedback by thousands of gyms.
Yeah, if you're going to make this a simple, like, who's better, you would choose them for sure.
Like, if you're a guy coming in from out of town or you want to join a gym, it's going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So my thought is that it's, I don't want to be like a geek, but it's like the Borg or some other great evil empire.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I think CrossFit and Rosa are thinking that this is the first step. If I was a CrossFit person, I would actually lean in on it.
Okay.
I would say, don't disaffiliate. Don't get out of CrossFit. Now is the time to get as big as possible in CrossFit, be the biggest regional player in CrossFit, grow your box and your franchise as big as you possibly can, because the bigger you are, the more you're going to survive this.
Right.
And sign up for CAP programming and look at it and decide what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
I think if you can own multiple boxes, if you were thinking like if you had the finances, I would buy multiple boxes. I would go as big as I possibly can before Eric and home office start digging in deeper, because once you're a big player regionally, they're going to need you.
Right.
They're not going to care about the small boxes, but at that point when they're really trying to pull in a lot of even more data and work with everyone, like, so the NC Fits, like the Comtrains, they're going to do okay. Yeah. Eric Rose is not going to steamroll them. If anything, he'll assimilate them in some way.
Right.
So, I just don't like that feeling, because CrossFit has always been built on independence, on being able to do what you want to do.
Right.
And, this isn't bad. It's just really different.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's bad at all. And I think you're on that same page. It's you're really thinking, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Like, what's coming after this?
Yeah.
Because the new regime of CrossFit, they're definitely much more big picture focused than the previous. So this is a part of their big picture, AKA there's a step after this that's coming. And you probably have, you just dove into a few of those that probably are likely. What exactly are the steps? We don't know. And I like the advice that, if you're a CrossFit gym out there, whether you think you guys are doing well or you're struggling or you're somewhere in the middle, this is definitely aimed at providing a help for you, but it could also lose out on what made you successful.
Individuality.
Right.
Innovation. How many new programmers are going to be developed now that this is out here?
Exactly. That's a huge deal too. You're going to really cut off a lot of like the future generation of CrossFit coaches and programmers, and maybe that's what they want. So we'll see. Thank you everybody for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.